Hi there, it's Lucid from Isurus here, and today we're going to look at a pedalboard build that I've just completed. I've been meaning to do this for ages and it's kind of been slowly getting done. But basically the idea was to build a mostly analogue kind of pedalboard for sort of writing and just jamming, messing around with really. It's not intended to be used live, as you'll kind of see in the way I've kind of set it out. Because live I'll use an Axe effects and I use that in most of our rehearsals and things like that anyway. This is more for kind of... My decimator just exploded. This is more for just working on my own and writing and just having instant access to lots of different sounds and especially lots of different gain sounds, as you'll see. I make all my own cables, always, because that way you can make them to the perfect length and you can, make sure you're getting good quality cables and jacks for not a ridiculous amount of money. If you were to buy them all pre-made, it would cost you an absolute fortune. So yeah, I always make all our cables. So it's on a gator board, which is not one with kind of holes in it or slats or anything like that. It's a solid wood board. I just kind of prefer them because everything's on the top and you can just fiddle around with it easily. First thing I did was install the power supplies. There's two of them on here because there's so many pedals on it. There's a Walrus Audio Phoenix and a T-Rex Chameleon, just so I've got enough outlets really. There's space for one more on the power supply and there's space for one more pedal on the board. I've got plans for that. But this board's going to be quite flexible. The idea is I can rip things out and I've got a huge array of pedals and stuff here, so I can just switch things out as and when I need. So the main idea of the board is to give me kind of various gain sounds, some basic kind of modulation and delay and reverb and stuff like that, all on one board, sort of easily accessible. But my main thing I wanted was access to lots of different gain types, so lots of different overdrives, distortions and fuzzes. So the way I've gone about this is I'm using this Buzz Electronics switcher, which is like a passive looper. There's no memory or anything like that in it, it's just 6 loops. So the guitar goes in, comes out the other end, and when they're all off it's just straight through to the amp, so it's just clean sound on the amp. Each of these 6 is kind of block areas of the board. So first of all is fuzz. So in the first one it's these 3 pedals, so there's 3 different fuzz pedals there. Then second one is the overdrives, so we've got 4 overdrives here, 2 are in one chassis. Then I've got distortions, and in distortion there is actually 2 more overdrives. It's kind of because I like stacking overdrives and putting overdrives with distortion and things like that. So in the distortion one there's this, and a gate. And then I've got modulation, and at the moment there's just these 2. There's just phaser and flanger and chorus. Then delays on here, so it's actually time-based. I've put tremolo in there as well, so these kind of time-based effects. So there's tremolo, analog delay and a digital delay. And then in the last one is reverb, which at the moment is just these 2. And this is probably going to change. I think I'm going to change this for a different reverb, and there might be something else in the chain as well. So that's the idea, so I can kind of preset a selection of which I'm going to use of them, but then I can put them in with one foot press. So say I wanted this fuzz, so now that'll bring that fuzz in, and I can do that for everything basically, and it enables me to kind of on the fly kind of decide what I'm going to use before I put it in, things like that. But yeah, as I said, this is generally just for me on my own kind of playing around really, just kind of coming up with sounds and coming up with ideas and things. The idea of this board is it's supposed to be used just with a clean amp, so it's always going to be going through to my Marshall on clean, or I could use my Axe effects, I suppose. But yeah, so that's why I've got delay and reverb kind of on the board in line instead of in the effects loop of the amp. It's just designed to go front end of an amp that's clean. That's the whole kind of idea of this. When you're kind of designing boards like this, it takes quite a long amount of time thinking about how to fit everything in, you know, where to put things, especially with the way I've kind of done it with this sort of control section. So I've kind of created sort of areas or blocks of the board which are kind of isolated from each other. It took quite a long time to kind of work out what and where things were going to be. Lots of kind of dry runs really, when there was no cables or anything in there, just kind of working out what I can fit where and how to kind of put it all in there. And I didn't end up having to make that many compromises, you know, like tilting pedals in weird directions and stuff. That's kind of the only one that's not straight. I actually thought I was going to kind of have to twist more to kind of cover the whole board, but worked out quite well in the end. As I said, this is going to be a totally flexible system. That's why I haven't kind of stuck cables down like with clips or anything like that, because I want to be able to just on the fly rip stuff out and put something else in. So yeah, it's not designed for riggers of touring or playing gigs and stuff. It's not designed to be kind of thrown around and stuff. There is one part of this chain that isn't actually on the board, but it's part of my setup. My guitar goes into a buffer first anyway, so there is a buffer before all this. So if all the loops are on, for example, and it's running through everything, then you're going to need a buffer, really. So that it's not on the board, but it's always the first thing my guitar cable goes to. Everything on this board I've done a demo of on our channel, so if there's any of these pedals that you want to kind of learn more about, I've done kind of an in-depth review on everything that's on here. I'm trying to go through all my pedals. I'm nearly there, pretty much done all of them. So yeah, if you're interested in any of these pedals, definitely check out our videos and there'll be something about every one of these. Right, so let's show you how this board kind of sounds, the different things it can do. There's quite a variety of sounds. The idea wasn't to go for really kind of experimental craziness. It's kind of more core tones, but lots of them. So let's check it out. Apologies if you hear lots of wind, by the way. There's a storm going on at the moment, so it might pick up on the camera. So here's the board at the moment with nothing lit up. I'm just going straight from the input to the output to the amp. So that's just the clean channel of the amp. As I said before, these three are fuzzes. So I can pick one of these and it won't be in the chain until I press the first loop. And that's the principle for everything. So the same thing for the overdrives, for the distortions. So you can see how you can kind of pre-set up different things and then pull them in and out as you want. So for example, if I put on delay, put on the reverb, on the phase shifter, leave that on as a distortion. So now I've got something set up in every loop, and I'll just kind of mess around with these so you can kind of see. You can see here I've kind of, especially with the overdrives, I've tried to keep in the order that they actually are in the chain if they were to be on together. I have the lowest gain first, kind of going through, so I have this, which is a clone, set to kind of very low gain. That's not so much a higher gain, but it's a much kind of brighter sound, which is the way I've set it at the moment. But obviously this can all just change to whatever I want, really. And I'll just kind of go through sort of the sounds I've got and the way it is at the moment, really. So, fuzz-wise, that's the Archimedes. I've got the Earth Dweller by Dope Effects. The Twin Earth by Nine of Swords. Love that thing, it's awesome. So then drive-wise, this is a clone by Lucid Audio, and this is also by Lucid Audio, which is clone of the Timmy and the Zen Drive. And this is by Boo Instruments, which is TS 808. And distortions, I've got Boss DS1. And in the distortion loop is the gate as well, you can see that's working. So sometimes I can use, if I have nothing else on in the distortion group apart from the gate, I can use the gate with the fuzzers. So going through these, first there's this DS1. So these two, even though they're in the distortion group, these are actually overdrives, but I'm using the Drive Master pretty cranked. And this, I just like stacking this with stuff, so... Then we have modulation here, so I've got just two things in this loop. There's Bad Stone, which is a phaser. And the Nautila, which is Digitech's digital chorus and flange. Then we've got the time-based stuff, so I've got a tremolo first. And then the first delay, which is a way huge Echo Puss, which is an analog delay with modulation. That's an awesome delay. And this, which was also on, so a double delay there, which is just a kind of more clean but still vintage sounding-ish. That's kind of sort of has tape emulation kind of thing. And the last things in the chain are the reverbs. So there's the Marshall reflector, and which is kind of a more basic standard reverb, and then there's this mental reverb, which is a modulated delay reverb. This is the Procession by Old Blood Noise Endeavours. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed kind of looking at the way I've put this board together. Might have given you some ideas of way to do things, or pointed you towards some interesting pedals or something. So subscribe if you've enjoyed this. There's plenty of content always coming on our channel, so yeah, subscribe and like and all that stuff. Thanks a lot.